I'm going to go through some slides to explain how we work together and how you can work with us. Okay, so I'm Silvia Almagia. I work for ETSI in the Center for Testing and Interoperability, and among other things, I'm in charge of OSM at ETSI. So who are we? Who is OSM? Who's behind OSM? It's a very large and diverse community. You probably know by now, seeing the different companies who have been leading the sessions during the Hackfest. So we have among them 16 global service providers, leading IT and cloud players, and a lot of network function providers. But also there's a lot of universities, research, integration, companies working on integration and consultancy, yeah, a little bit of everything. So this is the full list of over 140 OSM members and participants. OSM is hosted by ETSI, but it's open to all. So there are different ways of joining, depending on whether you are an ETSI member or you're not, whether you want to join as a company or as a university, or whether you want to join as an individual. Okay, but everything is possible. In a nutshell, there's a need to sign contribution license agreement. So if your company is an ETSI member, you will sign the member agreement and CCLA. If your company is not an ETSI member, they need to sign the participant agreement and CCLA. And if you join as an individual contributor, you need to sign the individual contributor license. If you join as an user, it's just one click. You just need to agree to some terms of reference and you get your account. Okay, all the links and instructions are here in the how to join page. And probably you're still thinking, so in my case, how do I join? Okay, so if you work or study for a company who's already in OSM, you have the list there, you have the link to the list here. Maybe your company is already there, but you don't have an account. Okay, so that's the easiest case. Let's say you just need to request an ETSI online account. Here's the link. And with that account, you can go to the OSM page in the ETSI portal and manage yourself the subscription to different mailing lists. So we have a few of them. The more interesting ones, I would say, are OSG OSM for general purpose emails, and OSM Tech for all the technical questions or issues or discussions you may have. We also have the OSM Marcom list for marketing and communication purposes, and the VNF onboarding list, that's for VNF onboarding activities. You can subscribe or unsubscribe anytime yourself from the OSM page in the ETSI. If you work or study for an ETSI member who's not yet part of OSM, that happens, then you need to ask your employer or your university to sign the OSM member agreement and CCA. Okay? And if your company or university is not an ETSI member or an OSM participant yet, in that case, you can ask them to join as participants and to sign the participant agreement. These are the preferred ways of joining. There's no fee for joining or participating remotely as OSM member and participants, and it gives you full access to all OSM resources. And not only to you, but also to your colleagues or your mates, students, and professors. It is the preferred way, let's say. Also, if you join as a member or participant, all the code contributions from your organizations are going to be accounted and ranked, and at one day you might become eligible for getting an MDL or TSC position. If you're not in none of the above cases, or if you just prefer to join as an individual, then you can create your individual or user account in the register page in the OSM website. And that just takes a couple of clicks. And if you still don't know where to start, you can send us an email to OSM support, and we'll figure it out. We'll find the best way for you. So how do we work? I think you've seen this slide a couple of times this week. This is how the project is organized. It's a large project, and as such, we have structured it in different groups. We have the leadership group with the OSM chair and vice chairs, who sets the project vision and represents the project in the outside world, let's say. We have the end user advisory group, who's mainly made of network operators and service providers. They represent the end users. They consolidate feature requests and they consolidate advice for the TSC, for the Technical Steering Committee. The Technical Steering Committee, it's formed of 5 people from 5 different companies. They are responsible for setting the release roadmap and the release scope for OSM. The actual work, let's say, it's done in different module development groups. You've seen them and their leaders yesterday. We have one group for the user interface, another for resource orchestration, another one for lifecycle management, service assurance, DevOps, and N2VC. And it happens from time to time that we see the need of creating a new group. That can happen, or to split a group in 2. For example, very recently we have split resource orchestration in resource orchestration and lifecycle management. So as the project will grow and as the code base will grow, this may change. And we also have some task forces, one dealing with marketing aspects and communication aspects led by Mona, and one leading with VNF onboarding matters. And this is mainly it in terms of structure. We have some working procedures which are available behind this link. They explain how all these groups interact and how these groups can be formed and how you join different groups. So in a nutshell, OSM leadership group, the chair of the end user advisory group, and the chairs of the task forces are elected by OSM members for a mandate of 2 years. The task forces are created by the leadership group, and if they are dealing with technical matters, this can be done on request of the TSC. If the TSC sees the need for a group to deal with some particular technical aspect, they request the LG to create a task force. They can be temporary or they can be permanent. And the 2 task forces we have right now, they are the 5 seats in the TSC are renewed after every OSM release. So all contributions from all the companies participating in OSM are tracked live in Git stats. You have the link here, and you can see how different companies are contributing. And the top ranking organizations for the code contributions during the last 3 releases are invited to present a candidate to join the TSC. So after every release, we look at the code, we do a sum up of the code contributed during the last 3 releases, and we see if there are new companies that are eligible to join the TSC. The exception to this is the TSC chair, who is selected for a period of 2 years by the rest of the members of the TSC. And this is to give the project a certain stability in terms of roadmap and organization. The module development groups are created by the TSC, who can also is also going to elect the module development leaders. So anyone can apply to become a module leader, and the TSC will have the final word if there are several candidates. Creating a new module development group requires at least 3 committers, these code reviewers, and means there is already 3 people ready to engage with this new group and to drive this new group. Okay. Then module development leaders can promote regular contributors to committers, so code reviewers, to get some help in reviewing the new contributions. And this can happen anytime, and it's a pretty simple process. And then anyone is welcome to join OSM as a contributor or as a user and engage in this work. If you have questions, be invited to ask, to raise your hand or to type it on the chat anytime. So how we coordinate? Well, we spend a lot of time on Slack. You've seen it this week, and it's not just this week, it's every week. I will say all of us are in Slack in several channels. Yeah, it's a way to talk to each other from wherever we are. You are probably in Slack by now, but otherwise you have the Slack invite link over here in case you want to share it with some colleagues. This is open to all, whether you are contributing to OSM or not. There's also the tech mailing list. There's a lot of activity there. As I said before, this is used to discuss technical topics. And again, anyone, even if they are not in OSM, they can send questions to the OSM tech mailing. And then we have regular conf calls with OSM members and participants. We have the tech call every Thursday, weekly. Then we have a DevOps call and an essay call and Marcom call every other week. Okay? In addition to this, the leadership group, the end user advisory group, the ETSI and the NDLs also meet regularly among themselves to set the project roadmap and objectives. We also have quarterly meetings. They used to be face-to-face. Actually, you see here the group picture of the last meeting we had. This was in beautiful Lucca in Tuscany region in Italy. We look super happy because we didn't know it was the last time we were meeting in person. And hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to meet again. I really hope so. So right now, those quarterly meetings are happening online as well. At the time, we used to have the meeting in parallel with the Hackfest. And now this time we decided to split it and have this week the Hackfest. And the next week we will have the meeting. So we have 4 meetings every year. 2 meetings are plenaries. They happen at release time. So this is, OSM releases every 6 months, and it typically happens around May, June, and November, December. And at that very time, we have a plenary where we kick off the next release. And then we have 2 mid-release meetings every year, and this happens typically in the middle of the release cycle, so in March and September time. So next week, we're having the mid-release 10. We are halfway through the release 10 cycle, and we will be meeting online to discuss technical topics and the contents of this release 10. You have here an overview of what the agenda looks like. It typically looks like this. So we meet between 11 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. CET. On Monday, the different leadership groups meet together, leadership group, end-user advisory group, ETSI plus NDLs. This is to organize the rest of the week. And then we have tech sessions, which are open to all from Tuesday, typically through Friday, but this time we decided to condense it a little bit and we will just be in 3 days. So where can you get help? There's some documentation that you might have seen during the week. So we have the user guide, we have the developer how-to, we have the DNF onboarding guidelines. All those docs are available for consultation, but also for filing back, so making improvements if you find something that's wrong or obsolete. We very much appreciate you give us feedback. We also have release notes, white papers, videos from the different events we run. So you have the links here. For OSM, we run several types of workshops, Hackfest, webinars, and also sometimes we have OSM contributors that go to external events and present OSM or present their work or do a demo in an external event. So we try to keep track of all that and, if possible, have the videos posted in this week. Okay, so you can have a look. We'll see a number of past Hackfests, but also some webinars and contributions to external meetings. And we have the YouTube channel where we post all the videos we produce. So if you need help with OSM, we would suggest that you first look at the docs. If you don't find what you're looking for, you ask in Slack. And you can also send an email to the tech mailing list. If you see you're not getting attention in Slack, you might send an email to the tech mailing list. And one of those will probably work. There are periods where the community is very, very busy, for example, when preparing a Hackfest or when running a Hackfest or when running a meeting. So if you have a question which is completely unrelated to that activity, it might take a little bit of time to get an answer. And I would encourage you to renew your ask once the Hackfest or the meeting is over, so that people pay attention to your question. And how can you help? And how can you engage with OSM? And I started drafting this page and I ran out of space because there are so many ways you can engage and contribute. Of course, you can write code and you can write bug fixes and contribute new features. And I will develop this a little bit longer next. You can also help writing and running tests. You can write and amend documentation. You can help in DevOps, and Mark would be very, very happy to have you help in there. You can help to answer questions on the tech mailing list. I mean, people might be asking questions you already have the answer or you already asked before. So your help answering is very, very welcome. You can help to prepare and run a Hackfest. It's a lot of work. There is what you see and there is what you don't see the previous weeks and working in the shadow, preparing the labs and preparing the different infrastructure for the sessions. So help there is very welcome. You can help to bring OSM to an ETSI plug test. ETSI is organizing interoperability events for many technologies. And OSM has been participating to the ETSI NFV plug test program since the very beginning. And that as well is a lot of work. You need to prepare, you need to help to test APIs, you need to test to prepare and integrate with third-party solutions for interoperability sessions, and any help will be very, very welcome. You can help to onboard new VNFs and contribute to the VNF onboarding task force. And eventually, maybe you want to help providing hardware or a remote OSM lab to help to provide more resources for future Hackfests or for the CI/CD pipeline, for example. That is always welcome. So that's something you can do as contributor, but as an OSM user or as a regular OSM user, I would say, you can also help. You can also contribute and engage, even without signing the contribution license agreement. So you can report bugs, and for that you will need an account, but a regular user account will do. This takes a couple of clicks. You can help answering questions on Slack. You can join a future Hackfest and learn OSM and give us feedback during the Hackfest. You can help to promote open source MANO on social media if you're active on social media. You can help to create new videos eventually, and we can post them on YouTube. If you're doing some testing with OSM or if developing something, or if you have a nice demo, we want your video on the OSM YouTube channel. You can give a talk. Maybe you are participating to external events and can talk about OSM there. You can write a blog post. And you can also create a proof of concept, an OSM proof of concept, or get listed in the OSM ecosystem. And I'm going to spend a bit more time on those last ones as well. So I will have a couple more slides to discuss how to contribute a feature, how to create a proof of concept, or how to join the OSM ecosystem. So how to contribute a new feature? In principle, we prefer that you don't bring a fully baked something, okay? So we prefer to discuss with you since the very beginning. The idea is that you first describe what you are trying to achieve. You describe the use case, you describe what you want to enable end to end, what will be the benefit for the end user. And with that, you create a feature requesting guide. For that, we have a feature template, which is very, very simple, looks like what you're seeing over here. And then we discuss and we explain us why that's important. And so you come to a tech call or to a face-to-face meeting, if we manage to have face-to-face meetings again, and you present it and explain it, and you defend why it's important. And once the community understands why it's important and the value of what you're trying to bring, it's going to be put in the backlog and it's going to be tracked by the community. And the idea here is that you also work with the community on the design and on the development of the code. Okay, so you can come to multiple tech meetings and you can present regular updates, you can ask questions, you can ask for feedback, you can show demos, and at the end of the journey, it's important that you also provide some tests and some documentation for your new feature. The tests allow to make sure the next feature will not break yours, and we can include them in the pipeline and make sure the functionality stays. And the documentation will help to promote your feature and to have other people using it. So it's as important as the code. About the proof of concept. So if you don't feel, or if you have already working in something with OSM, if you have an idea of something you want to prove, if you want to try some changes in the OSM code, or if you want to do some integration with external components without, but you don't really know where you're going to, then we suggest we opt for the OSM proof of concept. It's very, very simple to submit a proof of concept proposal. You then work on your own, but you come back regularly to OSM for feedback and to show your progress. In exchange, we give this proof of concept visibility and promotion. We're going to have it listed in the OSM list of POCs, and we're going to be showing your progress on social media. Okay? It's very, very easy to go down this path. We just ask that one member in the POC team is engaged in OSM, and this is to facilitate interaction with the POC team, and that we use core OSM components, okay? And that you engage and you commit to present your results and your progress to the OSM community at some point. So this can be quite interesting. We have a list of POCs here, and if you go through them, you will see that a big number of them have become features afterwards. Okay, they started as a POC, someone playing with OSM, and they ended up as features released with formal OSM release. And about the OSM ecosystem, these are some pages where we are trying to compile all the companies, all the solutions which are using or leveraging OSM. So it's some sort of OSM yellow pages. It's useful for external people to find professional help with OSM. And actually, anyone working with OSM can request to be listed. You don't need to be part of the project. We just want to know how you're using OSM, or what your solution, what's the role of your solution with OSM, or the role of OSM with your solution. So we have right now 4 OSM distributors listed, 28 network function providers, 7 OSM compatible VIMs, 4 OSS/BSS solution providers, 13 companies providing consulting and integration, 25 research initiatives. This is fantastic. This was pretty unexpected, but actually there's a lot of use and a lot of contribution from research coming into OSM, and we really welcome that. It's a way of bringing innovation and new ideas to OSM. And we have also 3 training providers. So once you get listed, you're going to get a badge showing that you're part of this OSM ecosystem. And we're also going to invite you to present your work and eventually your solutions to an OSM ecosystem day, as the one we have on Wednesday. Joining is very easy. You just need to send an email with a bit of information. The instructions are at the end of each page in the ecosystem page.